So, welcome and thank you very much for joining us this evening for our gathering to meet the St. Anthony Foundation. And this is an opportunity for us to learn more about the wonderful work that's done at St. Anthony's. I think most of us who are familiar, who are Catholic in the Bay Area, probably have heard at least a little bit about St. Anthony's, but there's definitely more to learn. I want to thank St. Anthony's for being part of our winter clothing drive that will be taking place through the 19th of December. And I'm looking forward to other collaborations going forward also. And so I would like to welcome Donna Mohr, who is the manager of Parish Partnerships and Mission Integration at St. Anthony's. And thank you for joining us. And I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you so much, Dana, for inviting me to be here this evening with you and the parishioners at St. Agnes at the Spirituality Center. And I am Donna Mohr, and as Dana said, manager of Parish Partnerships here in San Francisco. I've been working at this job at St. Anthony's Foundation for a little over a year now, and I just have come to love my work. I'm there part-time. I work with a great team of people, and it's called Mission Integration, and we are striving to keep the mission of St. Anthony's alive and well at the foundation and at the 150 block of Golden Gate Avenue, the Miracle on Jones Street, as it was once called. And so just to give you a little bit of history, I don't know, how much you're familiar with it, but the foundation itself, what came to be known originally as St. Anthony's Dining Room, was started in 1950 by a Franciscan friar, and his name was Father Alfred Bodeker, and he has now passed. But we are celebrating in 2025, as you can tell, our 75th anniversary of St. Anthony's being at the corner of Golden Gate and Jones Avenue in San Francisco in the Tenderloin district. And I even have to go back a little further because it's important before we talk about St. Anthony's Dining Room, which was called kind of originally, was to know about St. Boniface Church. And St. Boniface Church was built at the turn of the century, and it was built to serve the German-speaking population that was in the Tenderloin at that time. And so they chose the name of St. Boniface because he's the great patron saint of Germany, the father of the Christmas tree, if you've heard that story. And he's kind of like the St. Patrick of Ireland. He's a saint. He's like the St. Patrick of Germany. St. Boniface was a great evangelist to many of the secular pagans that lived there at the time. And they brought Father Alfred Bodeker of German descent out, continuing out to work with the German population in 1950, because it certainly was still there at that time in the Tenderloin. So, as a Franciscan friar, he was troubled by seeing, even in 1950, a need on the streets at that time. But it was a need where people were kind of going around begging for food, but it was very stealthily done. And there was a lot of shame surrounding being in need and needing food. And the Franciscan friars, even before he arrived, they were already making some sandwiches on the side and kind of giving them out, on the back door. And they would always kind of hand them out at the back door, and people would go and maybe stand on the sidewalk and eat them and this sort of thing. But he really, as that need grew, he had a vision of a place where people could sit down and have a friendly meal together and see someone face to face, have a communal experience and a helping hand at that time. And so he decided to build actually a dining room in the old garage that was attached to nearby the church. And so in fact, the ramp is still there. If you take a tour of the underground part of St. Boniface Church, because they acquired that property later on, but the ramp where the cars would come in. And so that area was sort of the original dining room that started. And before he even got to the point of the dining room, however, he went into St. Boniface Church. There's a little chapel inside on the left-hand side. And he said a prayer to St. Anthony, who was there. There was a statue there. It was St. Anthony's Chapel. And he said, how can I best serve these people that are in the neighborhood? He really wanted to help them. And he feels that St. Anthony gave him the answer. And surprisingly, it's not called St. Francis's dining room because they are the Franciscan friars and they have a great devotion to St. Francis, who is from the 13th, 12th century. But it was really St. Anthony who gave him the answer. And so that's why the dining room became St. Anthony's dining room. But it's so important to know that this is a ministry and outreach of the friars as it first started there. Um, and even before Father Bodeker got there, like I said, they were already helping the people in the neighborhood. But his goal, Father Alfred's goal, was really he had a vision of bringing people of all walks together because he saw not the diversity that we see today, but he saw the different walks of life there at 150 Golden Gate area. And he wanted to recognize the common humanity of all people. And he really saw this as a movement because he wanted to enlist the help of the lay people with the work of the friars. And so that was really a movement in itself that he was pulling in. It wasn't just on the onus of the shoulders of the friars to feed and to help these people and to give them a helping hand. He wanted the other greater neighborhood to help as well. And it became a partnership, really. And it still very much is that way. Soon, so Father Alfred had great vision for St. Anthony's, and it really became a place where families would come. So it wasn't just single people passing through, but it was a place of need for families. And it was like a no questions asked, we will help provide meals for you. We have been serving meals there from the day that it opened, and let's just say it was Feast of St. Anthony on June 13th. I don't know exactly the date. I'll have to get back to you on that, but it was 1950, and they have not stopped serving a meal from day one from 1950. So for 75 days, 365 days of the year, they have been serving meals there, and they serve about 1,000 people a day. Um, like I say, there's no questions asked, and it is a helping hand. And people hear about it um, from even internationally now, because sometimes I've met people when I've been there working, and they've just landed from Peru, or they've just come in from a place and they heard from a friend, from a word of mouth, that they could get a helping hand there at that time. The idea was not a handout, but to preserve the dignity of all people who are in need. Um, we think that we have served about 46 million meals since 1950. About 1,000 to 1,500 meals are served daily there in the dining room. St. Anthony's is much more than just the dining room, and so now it eventually became the St. Anthony's Foundation because we are more than just a dining room. Our foundation houses a medical clinic and the biggest free clothing program in the city. It's the largest. We help sort out new and gently used clothes, calling on the inherent dignity of all people to be well clothed. Um, and we have all the clothes that come in as in donations. We also have corporations sometimes that give us clothes in bulk, men's jeans or sweatshirts, even socks from Bomba Sock Company we'll get, or the Gap might have some overflow. But we rely mostly on the goodwill of people who can donate their clothes in San Francisco. Um, we have it arranged where the volunteers sort clothes in the back in a big room, and then it's sorted and sorted into different layers of inspection. And then we have a boutique where people can go shopping. That's guests of St. Anthony's can go shopping, again, preserving their dignity to give them some choices of what they would like to wear. And they're given certain guidelines, and then we have opening hours for the boutique And we have volunteers that work in the boutique as well. And that's children clothing to adults, men and women as well. So that's our free clothing program. We also have something very special called St. Clare's Care, and that is a rest area that starts in St. Boniface Church in the early morning hours and goes until the afternoon. And if you've heard of the Gubbio Project, this is a kind of an outgrowth of the Gubbio Project, which is again preserving the dignity of all people and realizing how important it is for people's body to rest and to receive the rest that they need. And there's so much science now that is showing that lack of sleep, lack of solid, consistent sleep can be very traumatic and troubling for the body and cause illness. So this is St. Anthony's response to try to give people can ease anxiety just to start with. Some rest, some quiet space, because if we don't know, not all our guests are necessarily without homes, but there are many that have spent a very hard night on the streets. And so they can come in and find shelter in the pews in the second part of the church. The back of the church is a very large church, and it's the treasure in the tenderloin of this church. But they can go and they can rest during the day. There are volunteers that help our guests find the rest that they need there. We have members that are community service. They're kind of like security, community peace officers, and they wander around with walkie-talkies and they help our guests find a pew or a place to sit. And a lot of times it has become a waiting area for them to take a shower because we have developed something since the COVID time, the pandemic time, and it's called the Hygiene Hub. And across the street from the church in the foundation offices, we have put in, since like 2021, these beautiful 3 to 4 bathroom stalls where guests can come and take a shower, change their clothes. And we also have laundry facilities there as well. We had done a little survey in the dining room during COVID, and we had asked our guests, what is one thing that you need? And they say that they hadn't had a shower in a long time, and it just renews their self so much. We had been noticing that we had a little water fountain outside of the building. And during COVID, they were using it. It was supposed to be a drinking fountain, but they were using it to bathe as much as they could. And so it really sparked something in the leadership team at St. Anthony's that people really wanted to shower. And it was a huge undertaking. And we have great employees that monitor this program that is part St. Clare's Care and then the Hygiene Hub. So that's another service that we offer. And then I would be remiss to not offer to tell you about our Father Alfred Center, which is an addiction recovery program for men. It's a 1-year residential program, and it is on Folsom Street. And it is a dry program that brings people in who are seeking help and support. And we work with the whole person because we have a chaplain there at the residence program. The best thing about the Father Alfred Center is 28% of our team members, our staff, are graduates and former guests of the Father Alfred Center. So as they spend a year in residence at the Father Alfred Center and they graduate, we help them find a job at St. Anthony's Foundation. And we help build their employment skills, build their resume, and things like that. So that is a really great part of St. Anthony's, very rewarding. We have a workforce development program at St. Anthony's that not a lot of people know about, and that is something that we offer as well. Job searching, resume building, working with social workers as a liaison. The social workers might be the liaison to this part of our service that we have. We also have a tech lab, And we serve about 50 guests per day. This is in the offices of the foundation, and it's a really active place, 150 Golden Gate Avenue. And I hope someday you can come and visit. We're hoping that St. Agnes and the Ignatian Spirituality Center will come down and visit us in the early spring and March, and I will give you a tour of all these different services, the parts of our organization, because a lot of people don't know the breadth of the services that we have at St. Anthony's. The Tech Lab offers, and its volunteers staff it, and some staff members of St. Anthony's, but they offer classes for people to build a resume, even simple computer skills, a place for people to check their emails. We want to encourage their communication with any loved ones or friends or family support that they might have. So those are pretty much our main services that we offer at Father Alfred, or at St. Anthony's. And it's really important to know that we have three main goals at St. Anthony's, and it's hope, stability, and renewal. And this is a common theme. This is our mission of St. Anthony's. We want to, I mean, besides feeding, clothing, cleaning, giving rest to our guests and helping them find a job, I mean, we're covering a lot of bases there. But our main goal is to give them hope, to give them stability, and in turn, renewal in their lives. And it's giving them a second chance. It's a great safety net for our guests because we all know that people have addictions of all kinds. We're all on a range of spectrum with addiction or the school of hard knocks with some difficult, challenging situations they've been in, some traumatic situations. And I can't believe I neglected to share with you our medical clinic that we have. And that is a huge part. And that is also housed in the 150 foundation buildings at Golden Gate. We have 3 doctors on campus, and we partner with Stanford Hospital. Our chief medical provider is from Stanford. And now, just so you know, our CEO of St. Anthony's is the former director of our medical class. So he is a doctor, currently is a doctor, but he's working full time now as CEO of St. Anthony's. We do not turn people away at the medical clinic, but we're also not an urgent care facility. We have 6 registered nurses, a very multilingual staff in our medical center. We have about 25% of our patients are pediatric care patients. We serve a lot of immigrant families. This is sometimes their very first stop when they come to California, San Francisco. Tenderloin usually is, as it's the densest neighborhood that we have of families. If you didn't know that already, not a lot of people know that about the Tenderloin, that it is incredibly dense population and a dense neighborhood. We serve the Vietnamese population, the Serbian population, Spanish-speaking population, and we have a Mandarin-speaking staff as well. And so Stanford is our supporting partner in this program of our medical clinic, which we're so blessed to have them. And it's a wonderful, wonderful staff. We serve about 2,500 individuals with about 9,000 visits per year to our medical center. It's basically like a local hospital for a lot of the permanent residents of this neighborhood who are retired in living and housing in the neighborhood, elderly population. But we have trained people there to help guests navigate the process of emergency medical care and things like that. So it's a very supportive system. But we're also doing a wonderful model there in our medical center too, is that we're looking at the whole person and we're providing a chaplain who works with them when they see the doctor. So many times there is a chaplain that is in the waiting room talking to them, and it's incredible how much they will share when they know that someone is there to listen to them. So they're not just waiting in great need and they have terrible pain, but there's a lot going on in their life and they want to share and kind of unload that part of their lives as well. And once they know they have someone that will really listen to them and help direct them, they share a lot. And it's really soul relieving and helps their soul, I think, a lot as well. Um, so it's a real neat two-pronged approach that they're doing. The staff at the medical clinic is absolutely incredible. We've given our staff a retreat a couple months ago. The nurses, the people, the facilitators, the doctors, everyone is so on board with providing spiritual care to our guests and not just medical care as well. So that I feel like that is so special. Um, but our values are so that all humans can flourish, and that is what we're after. So yes, we're feeding and clothing and doing gospel values, but it's so all can flourish in our community. It's providing healing, community, personal approach, walking the journey with them, a sense of justice and gratitude. These are all common themes at St. Anthony's. I just really want to talk about, how we accompany our guests on the journey. I've kind of highlighted points in the different ways we've done it. But to go back to the um, Father Alfred Center and our guests who are there for 1 year residential program, as I mentioned, it is so great because while they are in residence, they have kind of a step program where each month they're recognized at a graduation ceremony. Like you've made it 1 month, you've made it 2 months, you've made it 3 months, and the community kind of comes together to support them. And when sometimes they will share their story when we have volunteer groups that come in. So we have high schools across the Bay Area that's part of their campus ministry program, mostly Catholic high schools, not all, some Christian high schools. Some corporations send teams in for team building that will spend time with us, volunteering either in our dining room or our clothing program, but also hearing the story of our guests, the testimonies of our guests, and kind of from whence they've come. And they share where they were at the beginning before they entered the Father Alfred Center, what their life was like, how they were supported through this program, and how they have landed a job at St. Anthony's Foundation. So they talk about the hope that they've received. They talk about how it was a stabilizing force in their life and it brought them stability. And then it has brought them this sense of renewal that they can go and now they feel whole to rebuild those broken relationships that they've had in their life, to build new relationships that they've had in their life, and to build some job skills as well, and to seek out and some of them might move on from St. Anthony's eventually and find employment outside of St. Anthony's. But those are the core mission, core values, the hope, stability, and renewal that we are offering. And it's so much, a lot of times there's a concern of, are we just handing out a meal? Is it just a handout? And we like to say we believe it's so much more than that because we're really instilling in them and helping them to rediscover their own dignity as a person, as a human, just as Father Bodeker had envisioned it, and to kind of get them on their feet and to bring them to wholeness again. And it takes a team. It really takes a team to do that. But it's neat to see it happening in all areas of our services. And something that's really developing more and more is our STEPS program, and that is St. Anthony's Employment Program. So we have our workforce development, program pretty much, but we've kind of really we're zeroing in on this, calling it the STEPS program. And we have a welcome center when people are coming down the Tenderloin, coming down Golden Gate Avenue, and it's a big welcome tent, and you'll see it there if you happen to come and visit that day. And they will be greeted there and then directed into different areas um, to see what they need. And then you have sometimes a social worker, an employer that really gets to know the guests and where they are on their job search journey and guides them through that process. So that also is a very kind of family oriented team building kind of experience for the people to get help. I'm not sure if we lost our last.
I think it's you and I having a conversation for the benefit of those who will view later.
Oh,
But
great, great, great. Okay.
yep,
We'll keep going then. We'll keep going.
if you don't mind, that'd be great.
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful. It's really fascinating.
Oh, wonderful. Um, I guess I just I wanted to speak to is that sometimes people might shy away from coming down to the Tenderloin. It's a very vibrant neighborhood. It's very interesting. I myself hadn't spent much time there except doing some volunteer where I'd go to the site and then leave, go to back. But I'm finding myself spending more time there, and the more time I spend there, I'm not as kind of fearful or afraid to go there. Um, and I think that there's these, the staff members are community officer builders that are all around the block and they have walkie-talkies. And once you get to the top of 150, it's all closed off. And so it makes it a real community feel because we kind of take over the whole block there and back and forth. So there's the church, there's the dining room of St. Anthony's, and there's the foundation across the street, which is a five-story building with an elevator. There's a lobby, and there's, the medical centers on one floor. There's a great chapel on the top floor of that building. There's the tech lab house in that building, the hygiene hub. So there's a lot of, and then there's classrooms and things like that where big, team building experiences come and things like that. We have this initiative called the Golden Gate Greenway Initiative happening right now, and the city of San Francisco is studying the traffic impact if we close down Golden Gate Avenue. And so we're really excited because they're doing this study, and we're hoping that it's going to remain closed. And they're greening it. It's going to be called kind of the Beltway. They're going to bring in more plants and trees, and because we know how much an oasis is needed down there. It already is an oasis in itself, but some greenery would help, and I think that's really going to make a big difference. There's not a lot of trees in the Tenderloin area, not a lot of greenery. And so it can have a very soothing effect on people. And if I should ask you questions now.
Thank you so much. That was really remarkable. The work you do is just incredible, and the story behind it. Um, I think my main question, thank you so much for all the detailed information.
Yeah, sure, sure.
If I can ask something of a personal question,
Yes,
in,
absolutely.
in your time working with the St. Anthony Foundation, can you tell us about something that surprised you, something that was unexpected, the yeah, through your time there that you would not have foreseen at the outset?
I think it's easy for us to classify people as these are homeless. These are homeless. This is just terrible. I can't deal. But to realize they're just like us, but have had come across very hard times, and to really see Christ in them. And it's really all about we get so much out of it. We believe we're helping them, but I think so much is that they are really helping us. And it is really a very special place. I feel like there's been so many blessings already having worked there. And it was like I just feel like it's a privilege and it is a gift. Our team is with the Franciscans. There's three Franciscan friars who have given their lives to this very what I would call simple work. And they really just want to be with the people. They really just want to have conversation with them and help them, and they really enjoy it. Um, we have two sisters. This is another blessing to tell you more about this. Father Alfred Bodeker, not a lot of people know this, but he supported a convent in Tijuana to come up to San Francisco and to help. And so he had this ongoing relationship. He so supported this convent down in Tijuana, and they were kind of thriving down in Tijuana. He developed a partnership and relationship with them. Well, about 8 months ago, a sister from the convent that he started is now working at St. Anthony's. And it's just this beautiful connection, that, but it wasn't like this direct chain that was always there. It was just sort of, wonderful things. Another wonderful, I met this woman who's a podiatrist doctor, and she was in need when her family was young. They moved from Florida. There was some family conflict, and she moved out with her mother, and her mother was a single mother raising a couple children. Some of them were at home. She had about 8 children, but 5 of them she brought with her. This was in the 70s. She wrote a book called Wildflower, and it is most interesting because she details her time with St. Anthony's, and she remembers it. And she remembers, well, it just so happens a couple years ago, while she was in the middle of writing the chapter about St. Anthony's, in comes a patient, and it happens to be the nephew, and she's helping him. She's a podiatrist. It happens to be the nephew of Father Alfred Bodeger. It was just it was a providential coincidence. They started talking, and they put the pieces together. And he said, "Oh, I know St. Anthony's. That was my uncle. He started it." Little just miracles like that, miracles of healing, miracles of connections. It's amazing. So I don't know if that answered your question, but I guess what I want to say is I find it to be a place of incredible blessing. And most people might not think that, because you think, oh, these people are so destitute, they're downtrodden, they're impoverished, there's squalor there as you walk through the Tenderloin. But you spend time and you see the love that is there.
Thank you again. That was beautiful. We'll stop the conversation. We'll stop the recording and put a pause on the conversation for tonight. But I look forward to continuing it.
Can I leave with one quote from Father Alfred? He said, "We are not in the business of helping people. We are in the business of loving people." And that really sums up his life's work.
Thank you. And we'll bring that, the reminder to love one another, to love people, particularly in this Advent season. So I will hit pause on the recording.
Okay.